Welcome to my review of the TRN H2. I think this has been around for around a year or about a year or so, but there's no real word of it, if it's good or bad. And some people suggest I should take a look at it. And I do like single dynamic driver units because they're quite coherent instead of the usual V shape at this price. So this is what it looks like. In the unboxing you will see it looks exactly like the TRN IM2 and the TRN X6, so I presume, like I said, it was made around the same time, and this is not that common at AliExpress, so only a couple of actual stores sell it. But there's the spec, sensitivity is 99 dB and impedance is 16 ohms, so the sensitivity is actually quite low. And for my testing, it actually is. You just need slightly more volume to make it work, but I didn't really find it really picky or anything with sources, so that's what they look like. So they have like a carbon fibre finish on the top. But like I said, it's the same as the TRN X6 and IM2. It's a very similar earphone. I think they look good. They look quite subtle. I prefer how they look over the QKZ VK4. As you can see there, very simple design, 3D printed. Build seems really good, no issues at all. And it's quite tough to get at the actual packaging. There was in there really tight. And as you can see there, you can see the dynamic driver and the metal nozzle. But yeah, these are a single driver. That these aren't a hybrid like the other, versions in their line, like the IM2, IM1, etc. All this is a straightforward packaging, and there's the cable, and there's the tips, which I'll show you in a bit. There's the QC I'll show you, which it doesn't really make any difference because I've seen that and then I've had them being faulty, so it makes no difference at all. And inspection needs, the good typos, warranty card. All this is just the usual wear and tear stuff, so I'll just quickly skim through it. And this is the manual / user guide, so it's in English and in Chinese, and I'll just quickly skim through it. You've seen it all before, so it's just the usual type of information. So here's the tips, which is the normal generic TRN tips. By default it's fitted with the mediums, and in here is 4, so it's too small, too large. No issues with these tips really. They work fine for me. So throughout my reviews, I always try and use the included tips because they always seem to work best for me. And in here is just the cable, which it's kind of like spaghetti. It gets tangled really easy. I didn't bother for the video. I didn't bother taking it apart. But yeah, each one has L and R on the actual connectors, which is good enough. There's no metal in the ear guides, so that's fine, but it's a cheap cable and the earphones are cheap and they do work, so it's not a big deal. As you say, this cost me around £11, so these are quite cheap, so I'm not going to say delve in too much of what it's actually like, but it's okay. There's the Y splitter, nothing special really. And yeah, my actual impressions: build quality is good, comfort is good, but one thing I couldn't see is an actual vent, because dynamic drivers have a vent and I couldn't see one, so it must use the actual air that's in your ear canal. But the comfort's fine and the isolation was really good. Build's good, obviously 2-pin. The actual sound, what this actually sounds like, these have a darker presentation. I think there's a peak around 5K, but these on the whole are a darker sounding pair of earphones compared to the normal V shapes, which are brighter. These aren't a bright earphone. They do have some decent detail, but because they sound darker, you don't really have that. Same for the mids. The mids aren't pushed forward like normal. It sounds kind of natural in the mids instead of them being boosted at the upper mids, lower treble part. So on the whole, they do have a darker presentation. And as you said, have a little bit of a peak in the treble, which you can hear. It depends on certain tracks, but it does peak a bit. It's not too bad, but you can hear it in parts. But on the whole, I found these quite fatigue-free. The sound stage was okay, but if you want to, these aren't a pair of bright earphones. These are quite easy to listen to earphones. So if you like bassy music, the bass does stand out. That's mid-bass and sub-bass. If you have to, like, vocals aren't forward on these or anything like that. A lot of the instruments aren't forward on these because of its presentation. Some are if they're in the 5K-ish region, but on the whole, these are not bright, kind of bassy, fun earphones that aren't V-shaped. I'd say the isolation I thought was good, build's good. Very lightweight, they look good. And yeah, quite a short video really. Very cheap compared to the VK4 from QKZ. These aren't as bright, which is good or bad. But for the £11, I think they're okay. You know, they're nothing amazing. They perform well for the price. I like to try these with the new KZ EDX when it comes out, which is a single DD. And yet, short video, kind of darker presentation with a touch of brightness. And thanks for watching.